I'm Julia Harrington. I'm the founder and CEO of BrainCanDo. I'm also the headmistress of Queen Anne's School in Caversham near Reading. I went into education slightly later in my career, and at the same time as training as a teacher, I was also training as a psychodynamic counsellor, which was a role I did for a few years, and that was looking at some of the issues that adults carried with them, which had been set up and established during childhood, things that maybe they'd needed when they were a child but which are holding them back as an adult. So I started to think about child development and what happens when children are developing different aspects of their personality and their thinking. Time in my school at Queen Anne's, I met a neuroscientist who told me all about the new techniques that are going on in research about how the brain works. We used to think, of course, that the brain was fixed in a child after the age of 5, and then we thought that it was fixed when we got to 11, which is why, of course, we test them at 11, even though actually it's just absolutely not the case whatsoever. We put our pupils under so much strain and stress when they're 11, just when they don't need it because they're going into puberty, but that's what we do. And then, of course, they get into secondary school and their brain are going through a massive changes during that time. And the difference now is that we know that that's happening, and we can see what's happening because we have fMRI scans and all sorts of new technology where we can map and see what's happening in terms of the electrical activity inside the students' brains, and we can see what effect learning is having on them, and where maybe eventually we'll be able to see what the blocks are to learning. So that was where I started to look at how the brain works again, in terms of the real life, how brains are really working. And then I also was very fortunate to meet some psychologists down at Reading University, and we started talking about some of the issues that they were dealing with young adults, and how actually it might be useful to start looking at those during adolescence. And so we teamed up and started to do some work together. And from that, BrainCanDo gradually formed and was founded as we started to work with experts in the field and realised that we had common ground where we could work together and we could bring real knowledge into the classroom and into teachers' lives and into students' lives, both in terms of learning and their well-being and mental health. I would like BrainCanDo to be able to bring to every child, every teacher, opportunities to really understand what we now know about brain function, how we can maximise that for learning and efficiency in terms of how children perform in the classroom, how they perform in examinations, how we can help to demystify what it is that makes a child an achiever, and say, actually, you're born with certain attributes, your environment's really important, and if we understand how you work, how you learn, how your brain can be most efficient, then you can both get the grades that you deserve, and you can also feel good about your learning and be really passionate about learning for the future, rather than thinking these are a set of exams I've got to get through, it's going to ruin my life if I don't make it. We should not be bringing our children up to think of learning and life in that way. And that's what I hope BrainCanDo will do. It'll open a window on how to learn, how to enjoy your life, how to make sure that your mental health is strong. I see myself as being able to help translate what's coming out of neuroscience into the classroom and feed back of the issues that need attention, and to really raise the flag for there are new ways of doing things and we should be paying attention to them, just as medicine did. Evidence-based medicine 100 years ago was very much the way forward, and that's why we are so strong, and yet we haven't really paid much attention to evidence-based research in education, and that's what we need, and that's what we now have the resources and the facilities to do. So I hope that BrainCanDo will help to lead the way in that field. We've been really set up now for about 5 years, and we've been doing research with universities, we've been doing research with Goldsmiths, and that's been for music in the brain, although we expanded that to physical education, all sorts of different aspects of extracurricular, with Reading on emotional contagion and emotion regulation, and with various universities on different things. So that's where we started, and then we started to bring that back into our own school. So it's taken us about 3-4 years to really embed BrainCanDo within the school, and that's one of the things which I'm very passionate about, helping schools to really understand BrainCanDo is not a bolt-on. You have to have it implicit in everything that you do in terms of the learning of the students, the teachers, and the way it's understood across parents and students. We offer insets for different schools. What we're finding increasingly helpful is that schools come to us and say, look, we're interested in this, or we've got a concern about this, can you help? and then we can put together a research proposal for them, and that could be on sleep, it could be on the benefits of gratitude and the different things that can bring to help a school in all sorts of different ways with the issues that they may have got. We also have project management research experience, so actually we can take a whole project in a school, set it up, put measures in place before we start the project so that we've got a good quantitative base, and then run the project and then evaluate it, and then also help them to put in interventions in place. So that could be mental health, it could be well-being, it could be community spirit, it could be learning, it could be memory, it could be revision techniques. But what we've realised is working with schools in real time on the issues that are real for them is where our particular strengths are going forward, because that's what schools want and that's what we're able to deliver. For BCD, we're going to publish our book, which has been written by a number of very distinguished contributors, neuroscientists, psychologists, educationalists, on a variety of topics, some of which we've been working on already, some of which are new areas that we're going to be getting involved in. So the book will be published later on this year, 2020. Also setting up a Neuroscience for Teachers training course, which is being written by Professor Tricia Riddell, who's a professor of neuroscience at Reading University. Very excited about that. That will be run over 6 Saturdays over the course of the year with support material. We're inviting applications from teachers for that course. At the moment, we're looking at secondary school teachers. We would like teachers to have had a little bit of experience in the classroom. We think that for this first year of the project would be where it would be best pitched, and we will then help them to understand the principles of neuroscience in educational neuroscience and learning. What we really want to do is to see whether understanding neuroscience principles and educational neuroscience helps teachers to feel more satisfied with their work, that they actually get more out of their teaching, so that actually they're able to really have a better experience in the classroom, whether their students are more engaged because they are working from principles of educational neuroscience, and ultimately whether students' grades and performance improve over that period. So it's a very exciting project. We're currently working on a project with the Tony Little Centre, Searle, at Eton College, to look at interventions that can be put into schools to help deliver character education. It's something which the government has been concerned about and is currently on the Ofsted evaluation scheme. And so we're trying to help schools and educationalists to understand more about what character is, what it could be, how it would work in the school situation, and how we could actually put interventions in place to make sure that those qualities that our young people need really do get translated into real quality commitments as they go through their education. So we're working with HMC, the Headmasters and Headmistresses Conference, to collaborate with them on a well-being working party, looking at the best ways in which we can measure pupil well-being and mental health in schools, and what interventions can really help secure strong mental health and well-being for our pupils and our staff. We've been working with Goldsmiths University for 5 years now, looking at musicality and the effect on cognitive performance and all sorts of other measures within that particular project, because we are very passionate about the way in which we believe that music, extracurricular, other different things that schools can do but very often can't afford to do, can actually enrich a child's life, help them to perform more effectively, teach them good mindset skills, and really enable them to reach their potential in learning, and also be able to learn how to regulate their emotions, which of course are very vulnerable during adolescence. Now we are working in all sorts of different ways to help spread that information, because we believe passionately that this is something that so many schools have to miss out on because they're unable to provide the facilities that allow children to be able to work in this way. At Queen Anne's, we're working very hard to try and make sure that we can invite some of our partner schools, some of our local schools in to help them with that resource, because as much as possible we want to be able to share what we do with other educationalists and other students. That's really the mission of BrainCanDo, is to bring a new way of looking at education into our thinking as educationalists and help share the science that I think is going to really underpin our future learning. I believe that one of the roles of BrainCanDo for the future is to be able to really help government to understand what educationalists needs, what policy needs to look like, so that actually all children can learn and all children can thrive in our schools. So I will be working, I hope, with people at all sorts of different levels to bring the evidence of what we're doing and the evidence of the neuroscientists and the projects that we're taking forward to help evidence-informed, practical interventions to be put in place, and for a better understanding of how education can really enhance children's lives, because we actually understand what's going on in their brains and we're able to really teach in a way that they can access and enjoy. So if you're interested in what we're doing, please get in touch. Please get in touch with the BrainCanDo team. We'd be delighted to work with you. If you have any questions or any ideas, we love ideas, please come back to us, and I hope we'll be able to work with you. So we're currently actively recruiting for our Neuroscience for Teachers scheme. If you are interested and would like to get involved, please contact us because we'd be delighted to talk to you.